Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Scared Shitless. This is a horror retrospective, the show where we rip apart horror media like a teenage boy getting ripped in half on a derailing roller coaster. I'm Ryan. This week I am joined by Jamie.
Hello.
Ali.
How are you doing, YouTubers?
And Al.
Hey, guys.
And we are going to be discussing Final Destination 3, the third film, strangely enough, in the Final Destination franchise. This film was released in 2006 and was written by Glenn Morgan and James Wong, both returning from the first film. Also directed by James Wong. Starring Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Ryan Merriman, Chris Lemche, Amanda Crew, Gina Holden, Texas Battle, which is one of the coolest names anyone's ever had, and with some voice work. That's his name. That's his name. And voice work from Tony Todd.
Was Tony Todd the voice in the train?
Tony Todd was the voice in the train and the voice of the devil of the roller coaster.
Nice.
Go figure, eh?
And I really don't need to explain the plot too much of this one. If you've joined us for the previous two episodes, the plot's the same, except this time Wendy has a vision of a roller coaster accident instead of a plane crash or a pile-up. It's the exact same.
Thinking outside the box.
Different disaster, still a premonition, and they still all die in strange and interesting ways afterwards.
I've never seen them. Honestly, I was like, what vehicle is going to be next on this list? And yeah, roller coaster was a good choice, I think.
Roller coaster was a good choice. So let's start with the opening credits. We discussed that in the first two, so we may as well stick with it and do it in this one. So the opening credits were like a pinball carrot card thing at the fun fair that it followed. What did you think of this? Let's start with you, Ali, because you mentioned it briefly in a message that you sent me. So
yeah, I think I probably didn't give it half a chance. When the opening sequence of the film was coming on, I thought it dragged a lot. It was dragging a little bit, so I didn't give it a chance to fully develop. And then once the film had started...
If you're judging it before the end of the credits, you definitely haven't given it enough time, considering the film hasn't started.
100%.
No, when I fully got into the film itself, I started to enjoy it. So
sometimes the opening credits rub you the right way. What was that one where it was like a comic book? Was that on the Action podcast?
That was Trick or Treat. That we watched. Yeah, that had kind of comic book style opening credits. That was. Yeah. In fact, there was an action one we watched that had that as well. That was the really bad one, Jiu-Jitsu, which I think we all remember that. Yeah, the less said about Jiu-Jitsu.
But no, the opening of a film can totally warm you up or put you off. I do get that.
Yeah, 100%. So while you're giving your opinion,
foreplay.
Jimmy, what did you think about the opening credits to this one?
Nah, it was opening credits. I was just like, get to the vision.
Okay. What about
I sort of know what these movies are about. I don't need the big sort of hoopla setup. Just get to the vision.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with it like Ali did. But yeah, like I say, I don't pay that much attention to opening credits. I quite liked that it was like the rust. Well, not even rusty, but it's like the bent old nails in the pinball machine as being the bumpers.
Yeah.
And that kind of led you into the carnival. But yeah, I didn't look too much into it. It was just the credits for me.
That's fair. I think as far as opening credits go, they were fine, and that's it. They're only even really worth mentioning because in the first film, the opening credits really had nothing to do with the movie, and then the second
I think if the first film
they done it so
didn't
well.
have really jarring ones,
yeah,
then we wouldn't mention any of the other films.
Yeah. But then the second one done the opening really, really well. This one didn't do it as well as the second one, but did it considerably better than the first, and at least it was tied to fate and things like that. So it thematically it works.
For me, that's a theme for the whole movie.
Yeah, but speaking of thematically, it then and themes, it then opens up in a theme park. So see that segue? That is how
Good
you segue, guys.
Yeah,
That's,
well done.
I mean, it kind of ruins it when you mention it, but
yeah, well done, Al.
sit there blowing your own trumpet.
Someone has to do it. That's all I'm saying. So we
see how amazing that segue was. Completely derailing the segue.
We open up in this theme park, which looks pretty kick-ass, I've got to say. So it looked like a good theme park. And we meet our main characters being Wendy and Kevin, and their partners, who are not main characters. But
for long they aren't.
We meet them and they go on the roller coaster, or they're going to, and of course Wendy has a very detailed, explicit premonition of a roller coaster accident. So, Al, what do you think about the roller coaster accident in comparison to the plane crash from the first film, or the car pileup from the second?
Well, I mean, I think it's their own fault for going on a fucking stupid roller coaster. Like, yeah, I don't like heights to begin with, so fuck that. You wouldn't be catching me on the Devil's Ride roller coaster.
It actually did make me think of when I was watching it. It was that time you and I went to the Pleasure Beach in Blackpool, and you were like, "Nah, fuck that, not going on that." Sitting here, and, so yeah.
Nah, but no, be the same. I don't like roller coasters either.
I don't think I wouldn't say the premonition was as good as either of the first two. I think the one on the plane was quite good. I quite enjoyed that. I think the car crash one was really good because there was so much happening and it was so detailed. But yeah, just I mean, like 4 of them died by just falling off. That's and there was a couple of like fairly brutal deaths, but it was just I mean, there's only so much you can do with people. They're either going to get hit by something or they're going to fall. And that's essentially what happened to all of them.
Okay. What about you, Ali? What was your thoughts on the roller coaster the premonition in general, but also in comparison to the previous premonitions?
As I said at the start, it definitely thought outside the box, making it a roller coaster. But yeah, I'm in full agreement with Al. I just think there's only so much you can do with the deaths, but I did like how they panned to the roller coaster's theme character, which was the devil. When you're looking up at the devil, it's, to me, that says, oh, death is near. I mean, it was sort of like giving you the idea that something bad was going to happen very, very soon.
Are you talking about beforehand?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Well, you're mentioning the devil, which is like the mascot for this roller coaster. I did watch all the special features on the Blu-ray for this, and one of the things that it explained is the devil actually weighed about 2 tons of styrofoam that they built it.
Yeah.
And it was massive, and they had to use about 7 tons of other equipment. They actually hold it down in place. So this is this massive 9-ton structure. And it is also anatomically correct. Like, they actually built a giant cock and balls for this devil. So if anyone wants to see the devil's cock and balls, go check out the special features for Final Destination 3. They are very large and very emasculating. So, Jamie, what did you think about the premonition?
It was fine. I think it was better. The first one was good. Second one was phenomenal. This one, somewhere in between, definitely wasn't as good as the second one. Like, why didn't they bring that guy back who did that? The second Was he? Did he direct the
The
action
guy
scenes
who
in this?
no, he didn't. He I don't know why he didn't come back. So the writers and directors from the first one didn't come back for the second, and David R. Ellis done the second.
They basically were like, right, we're going to bring the people back from the not as good film to do the film. You know, after we've had a successful film with this guy, let's bring back the people who made a not as good movie.
Essentially, yes, but I think the second film didn't do as well at the box office as the first one. So
still,
they weren't necessarily looking at it on quality.
Agreed.
They were looking at it on how much money it brought in.
Which is a shame. Which is a shame. It would be nice if Hollywood was like, let's make the best movie for the fans.
Yes. So they brought in the people who made the first one, and they did not like the second film. Like they mention it a few times on the Blu-ray. What they said they didn't like about it is that the characters were unconnected, with the exception of surviving the accident. And they're like, can't have that shit. We need to put them all in the same high school again.
I mean, personally, I don't think that took away from the film at all.
I don't think it did at all either. But they
and realistically, how much does putting them all in the same high school actually connect people?
Yeah.
It's like that is the laziest connection you could possibly do. Well, we'll just make them all the same age and just say they all went to school together and now they're connected.
Yeah.
Like, they've all got yearbooks and they've got to try and get them signed. Connection established.
But anyway, speaking of the premonition itself, I actually completely agree with you, Jamie. I think the premonition in the second film with the car pilot was so good. There was no way it could match that. But unlike Alan Alley, I do agree with you that I think this was actually better than the plane crash in the original. But that's clearly. I
mean, yeah, credit where credit's due. I think it was still a good sequence.
Oh, I agree.
It still had a lot to hold up to, especially because it wasn't CGI. A lot of it was real effects in the last one. And I mean, a lot of this was real effects as well.
It was
because didn't they have to ride the roller coaster a bunch of times and whatever?
They were talking, the actors. So on the first day shooting, they rode the roller coaster 22 times. Wow. And they were like, "That's a record that will never be beaten." And then they beat it the following 3 days. They went on it so much, and the costume designers and stuff were actually like, we have so many versions of the same character's costumes in case they're sick on themselves on this roller coaster, because they're going to be riding it so much. And
surely you just become dead into it after a while.
You would think. I mean, they even had little bracelets and stuff on that some supposedly stopped them feeling motion sickness and things like that.
Oh, the anti-nausea ones.
Yeah, and they done so many different things. There was one bit in it where the guy who played Kevin, Ryan Merriman, he was. They were like, so we're going to put a mirror here and film it again, and he's like, I do not understand why. And they're like, oh, because it does this and it does that, and if we get it from this, and he looks like he's trying to take it in, and he's clearly just not understanding it. It's going so over his head. And they're like, they done it in Titanic, and he's like, all right, let's do it. But they had to ride the shit out of this roller coaster. But anyway, so they escape. They get off the roller coaster, and then it goes, derails, and seven people die.
Apart from her boyfriend, who wanted off, but the guy didn't let him off.
Yes, and Kevin's girlfriend, who again didn't get off. But so 7 people die, and that is both of our main characters' friends now dead. So then the next death scene is Ashley and Ashlyn, the two. What's the polite way to
slags?
Two high school
bitches.
They
I don't think Jamie and I got the polite bit.
They weren't very bright. Let's say somewhat naive. Earheads. That's the earheads. So, and they go to the tanning salon, where they burn up horrendously in the tanning beds.
Yes,
all
they do.
practical effects. What did you think of that?
That was fucking cool.
Yeah,
Like,
I
it was
enjoyed that.
Brutal.
horrendous.
So hard to
Yeah,
watch.
it was fucking brutal. But
We
and it was
also,
actually almost bordering on the uncomfortable to watch, which I think is quite. It was kind of a first for the series because all the rest of them have been sort of like almost they're just so over the top that they're just funny. But that was the first one where you're like, this is pretty fucked up.
Yeah,
this is pretty bad.
It's intense, and I think it's actually made worse by the fact that they're both naked as well. Because I think
I know at one point there's like a huge boil on one of their arms and stuff like that, and it's just like it's incredibly well done.
Yeah,
effects.
I think them being naked actually adds to the kind of feeling of being exposed, doesn't it? It's
completely
protected.
vulnerable.
Yeah,
and it's even things like when the glass breaks. I can't remember which one of the girls it was. One of them, the glass underneath them breaks.
Yeah.
And as she drops down, you can hear the fizz as she hits the light tubes.
Yeah.
And that is just, I was like, that's like such a small sound effect to put in. But it's basically like the whole, like, it sounded like when you drop bacon in a frying pan. And just it lent so much to it.
They actually achieved this by actually setting girls on fire. And that is how they were able to achieve it. They set stunt people on fire. And I mean, it paid off. It looks amazing. It's brutal, but it looks great. We next have the death of Frankie Cheeks, who is one of the creepiest people ever put on in front of a camera.
Behind it.
And behind it, yeah. But a runaway truck causes a car collision. An engine comes clean through, and his head is like grated by a propeller. What did you, Ali? What do you think of this death?
That was the first sequence, and then they both check on once they get out of the car themselves, and they check on who it was. You think, he's gotten that in the back of his head. That's it. No, they got to do it one bit more and just make his body drop out of it, and you're like, it's the way that they were the way you could see that they were doing with the first set of deaths, with the girls, and then this death, they were trying to make it more.
They made it more graphic. They definitely made it more graphic.
More graphic, yeah.
The previous movie was reasonably graphic, at least certainly in comparison to the first film, and this one upped the ante further. They were like,
completely agree.
Let's really. So I mean, it really makes the first film at this point look very tame by comparison.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So, which when we were watching it, none of us necessarily felt it was that tame. Yeah, but you look back, benefits of hindsight, and you're like, look at those pussy deaths. The guy just got his head cut off. He's fine. But next we have Lewis, the asshole jock, who is killed by
that was brutal.
That whole scene. That scene was hilarious.
All those guys have bad form. They were just asking to be crushed by the weights.
They were all just screaming. They were like, they're fucking getting all in their team spirit. Just do like,
fuck the Bruins.
Did any of them even? Yeah, as Ryan said, did any of them even know how to lift?
I don't. I mean, the way they were going, it's they're begging to get injured. Now, obviously, they weren't.
Maybe not quite in that manner.
Yeah, maybe not quite like that. No one thinks their head's going to get pancaked by a couple of weights.
I mean, that kid, I don't care how strong. He's definitely not strong enough to do that to a fucking lat pull down machine. Like
that kid was also the Texas Battle. That's who he was. So, in case you were wondering which of the characters
can't believe that's
had
a real
such
name.
an awesome name. Yeah, that's him. Texas Battle.
Brilliant.
But yeah, they built a fake head for him and filled it with bananas and strawberries and
What,
pieces
so
of
not mince
silicone.
like from the last one.
Not mince, no. But when they hit it and it splattered everywhere, and it looked fantastic. But then they added quite a lot of CGI blood in it as well. So I don't know if maybe it didn't show up as well on camera. I don't know.
I will never look at bananas and strawberries the same again.
You may not. You may not. So we then had the next almost death was Ian Mckinley, who was pulled out of the way, however, and survived because all these spikes almost fell on him due to a rogue forklift and everything else. But then his girlfriend is brutally shot through the head repeatedly with a nail gun. So
that was a shame.
So when she's got her hand pinned to her forehead as well.
Yes, yeah. And I mean, when you look at the photos, you know, because the clues in this one came from the photograph she had taken at the fair, and you know, she's covering her face like that in the photograph. He's got a gun.
He's pointing a gun at her face, isn't he?
Yeah, and she's shot through with a gun like that. Yeah. What did you think of this one, Jamie?
Don't even remember this one.
You don't remember her getting shot through the head repeatedly with a nail gun?
Nope.
Okay, that just goes to show how some of the other deaths were in this film, because I would say personally I think it's pretty memorable.
Well, this one was a lot harder for me to see. There was a lot more deaths at sort of night. Was this a daytime death? I can't even remember.
It was nighttime in the store, so it was quite dull.
Yeah, so a lot of that just flew past me probably.
Fair enough. So next, Julie, Wendy's sister, played by Amanda Cruz, almost died when she was getting dragged about by a horse. However, Kevin was able to cut the rope right before she got impaled in like an old school plow or something.
Just in time.
Just in time is correct.
Just in time.
However, her friend, who I had to look up her name, Perry, this was the only character's name I had absolutely could not remember for the life of me. I did go to Google for that. She was quickly impaled by a flagpole. Pretty cool death, but very unmemorable character.
Very random.
Random?
I felt so. I didn't really remember that character. You know, it just felt very random to me.
She'd only been a background character twice before, and I think it was two different scenes. She had appeared once at the carnival and once at the initial fairground. You didn't see her any other time. Yeah.
I don't think she actually had any lines at all.
But I did like, it was almost like the samurai falling on his katana.
Yes.
Sort of the way she slid down the pole. I thought that was quite nice. Quite like that.
That was very cool. We then had Kevin almost die. A gas canister almost blew up in his face, but Wendy pulled him out of the way. And then Wendy maybe almost died. I say very quizzically because did she? But it went back to Ian. I'm not really sure what happened there. And he was crushed by a cherry picker. He
spectacularly.
Yeah, he survived the first time, not so much the second. And then the movie ends with Wendy having.
I just want to mention his line is like he was like, "I'm never gonna die" or something like that. Yeah, you're all gonna die. Just fucking going off his nut that he's got to be, he's got to survive. It skipped him or whatever, and then boom.
Dude, he got properly crushed.
That was amazing.
I couldn't even see what was in the background, but as those fireworks were going off, I could just see there was some sort of dark pole or something in the background. I was just like, oh yeah, he's gonna get crushed. Can't wait for it. Here we go. I don't know what it is, but whatever that is in the background is about to flatten him.
Well, again, I'm not sure how it skipped Wendy and went to him. So if anyone watching does know, let us know in the comments. I would actually be interested in that.
Stop trying to bring logic into it.
I meant to look it
It's
up.
not going to happen.
It's probably not. They're probably like, who cares? Let's just kill Ian. Let's just crush him. Let's do it.
We never explain any of this back stuff anyway, so it's fine.
And yeah, then the movie ends a few months later. Wendy's at college and she's on a train or tram, underground, whatever.
Plot twist is coming.
She has a premonition of the train crash, but it is too late for her to get off. So death's there. We saw hers, her sister's, Kevin's, two of her friends, and then God knows how many other passengers.
Yeah,
cool.
Death wasn't fucking about. It wiped out an entire train just to make sure that they got her.
Yeah.
Or was it? Sorry, the three of them.
So we had in total 19 deaths that I counted, but that's not including all the random people that were on the train. That's only on the train. That's only including Wendy, Julie, Kevin, and her two friends who we met. All the other possible people on the train, God knows how many there were. So 19 plus. Let's just say that.
How many of them are doubles?
None. That's not including the premonition deaths and stuff. All
right.
So 19 actual dead people.
Right.
Cool. So, and if you take out the roller coaster and you take out the train, just to see our individual deaths, we still had 7 individual deaths, which is no small feat. So I would say, personally, I think in this film, both Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who played Wendy, and Ryan Merriman, who played Kevin, were both very good. Everyone
I'd say they're
else,
far better than the lead in the last.
Yes,
film.
AJ Cook.
I would agree with that.
I completely agree. But Mary Elizabeth Winstead has gone on to do some really good stuff.
Yeah, she's actually a bona fide. I know Ali Larter is, and even to Amanda Cruz is kind of becoming a bit of a scream queen sort of thing.
Yeah.
Other than being in Sex Drive.
Who played her sister?
Amanda Cruz.
I disagree. The scene where she was upset, and I thought that was awful acting. I just didn't. I was like, this is really bad.
Well, she was reasonably young at the time. Amanda Cruz has gone on to be not bad.
Yeah,
Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
That scene for me, I was like, oh god, if this is the standard of acting from now on, this film's got to be even worse than the acting in the last one. But
like I say, for me, I think Mary Elizabeth Winstead and Ryan Merriman, the two leads, were very good. Everyone else, I would say, all the characters in this one were much worse. They were literally caricatures. We had the airheads, we had the dickhead jock, we had the complete sleazebag, and they, to the point where they didn't feel like real people. They just felt like caricatures.
Yeah, although
I really felt that about the two airheads. It's like they just aren't even people. It's just like a caricature, and you just kind of. I know their deaths were brutal, but you kind of felt nothing because you're just like, meh.
Yeah, one of the lines like, "Oh, we need to look beautiful, so they, because they're dead, so we need to look good, so everyone else.
We need to look good for everyone else." Yeah, but
with the exception of their deaths and the acting in their death scene, I think that's the best acting I've seen out in the franchise so far. Like they're two sort of, effects aside, their terror was real, for me anyway.
Okay.
That was my favorite death. If we've got to that point.
Spoilers, we haven't got to it, but fair enough. Well, as soon as Jamie has jumped the gun, right, we know what his favorite death was. Ali, what was yours?
Let's see. I think the Tan Salon. I think that's probably my favorite death out of the film.
Which one? Sorry, I missed that.
The Tan Salon. I just think that was I just thought that was, as Al said, the detail in it was really, really good.
What about you then, Al? What was your favourite? We have 2 votes so far for the burning up on the tanning beds.
Yeah, I usually like to go for something different, but I just can't disagree. Like it was so brutal that that's undoubtedly the best one.
Cherry picker falling on celebrator guy was pretty good as well, but
that was
think
that was a close second, and the fact that he was lying there after he'd been cut in half, still giving them the middle finger at the end. I had to have a wee laugh at that.
I think that was the most entertaining death for me.
The nail gun shooting through Aaron's head was outstanding as well. But ultimately, for the first time ever, I think we have a clean sweep. We all agree what the best death.
Sweet.
I mean, I agree with you. If it was any of the other films, that nail gun would have been the best.
I think that is one thing. Like, I suppose summing up now, this film, I would say, the acting is with the two leads is maybe better than the second film, but with everybody else, it's not. The characters are the worst so far. The premonition wasn't as good as the second film, but the individual deaths were outstanding. Like they genuinely were.
They've properly upped their game.
Mm-hmm. This one had the smallest budget so far, and I don't think you can tell. I think they've done such a good job that I don't think you can tell it didn't have as much money.
I agree. I don't think you can see a massive difference between this and the film previous.
Mm-hmm.
I know they did the big car crash scene, but I mean, there was still a lot that went into it.
Yes.
So
no,
I wouldn't say you can see that.
So, well, Ali, suppose summing up, how many stabs would you give this movie as a whole?
Do I want to be kind, or do I want? I'll be kind. I'll give it 3.5. Just for the kills being more graphic. So give it 3.5.
Okay. Would you give it less than 3.5 if the kills were less graphic?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You gave the previous film 3.5 as well, if I remember correctly, or did you give the?
Yes, I did.
You did. Okay. Jamie, what would you give this one?
I mean, I'm struggling to give it 4 stars because I can't give it 4 stars because I gave the last one 4 stars and it's nowhere. But I think I gave the first one. Did I give the first one 3 stars?
You either gave it 3 or 3.5. You gave it around that.
I can't remember. So I think I'm going to give this 3 stars as well. I would give it 3.5, but I don't think it's. It shouldn't be half a star as close to the second one. So 3 stars it is.
Al, what about yourself?
I think Jamie's pretty much spot on. I think 3's fair. It's not a great film.
Stabs.
But stabs.
Yeah.
It's not a great film, but the deaths in it are absolutely brutal. Like the acting's not great. Some of the dialogue is horrendous. Like I don't know who the fuck wrote it, but it is awful. But yeah, it's still entertaining. Like I wouldn't put somebody off watching it because it is worth watching it just for the visual effects. The visual effects do save it. I think if it wasn't for that, I would be marking it so much. I would be a lot harsher, and it would be 2 or 2.5.
Okay, I think I'm going to give it a higher ranking than any of you. I think I'm going to give it 4 stabs. I genuinely
you're out of your mind.
I think the death sequences alone were so good. It really does bring it up for me. Again, that's what I come to this franchise for, and it absolutely delivered. And I think Mary Elizabeth Winstead and Ryan Merriman were both very good. So I
think decent double act.
I think with all of that, it's, in my opinion, it's worth the 4. I think it's as good as the previous film. However, the next one's not going to be. So tune in next week where we discuss the Final Destination. If you want more content from Ali, you can head over to his channel, Aldo S.J. McLaren. He does stuff on professional wrestling, comic books, and science fiction. if you want some stuff from Jamie, he now has multiple channels because he just cannot stay off YouTube. The guy is a YouTube whore.
Cannot get enough.
He has a Potter Nerd, link in the description. Strangely enough, about Harry Potter. And your other one is, what's your other one, Jamie?
The Blind Reactor. So I watch stuff and tell people what a blind guy experiences when he watches various forms of media. So if you're interested in that, you can have a look.
Link to that one will also be in the description. For more content from Al and myself, click one of the things on right or left, click subscribe, click like, comment, let us know if you were scared shitless, and we will be back like always for one last scare.